I would like for you to write a comedic YouTube review for the game Celeste on the Nintendo Switch. Please include this and that, blah blah blah, just a bunch of different things that's integral to my talking points, because while it's reviewing Celeste, I'm gonna be criticizing the AI the entire time. Because this isn't a review of Celeste on the Nintendo Switch, this is a review on how an AI reviews Celeste on the Nintendo Switch. This is Celeste. Okay, I may have taken some creative liberties. Celeste is a critically acclaimed indie platformer game developed by Matt Makes Games and published by the studio's own label. Okay, so technically so far everything is correct. However, they did leave out the small detail that the company is now called Maddie Makes Games, so very good for her. We're gonna go ahead and change all the pronouns just to be respectful. It was released on January 25th, 2018 for Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Microsoft Windows. The game is set on a mountain that the player, as Madeline, must climb while overcoming various obstacles and enemies. The game received widespread critical acclaim for its tight controls, challenging but fair difficulty, and touching story about mental health. Okay, so far, great start. It might have about as much personality as a 2x4, but other than that, it's not doing that bad. I'm gonna go ahead and change the script just a little bit to give it a little bit of personality, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm already bored trying to voice it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where I review games so good they'll make you want to climb a mountain, literally. This took me over 2 hours to edit. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh no, another indie game developer with a pretentious name. But trust me, this girl knows how to make games. Cringe. She even made this game during a game jam, which is like a party for programmers. And just like any party, there's always that one person who brings something unexpected and amazing, like a homemade queso dip. And in this case, that person was Maddie Makes Games with Celeste. So it didn't ask me to make the homemade queso chips, that's just something I made afterwards, but I did ask it to make some humor and visual gags for me, and well... The skit ends with the group high-fiving each other as the camera fades to black. I don't have any friends. The game was originally developed as a prototype for a game jam, which the developer later turned into a full-length game. Game jam, for those who don't know, is an event where developers come together to create a game completely from scratch for about 1 to 3 days, typically in some form of competition. This is evident in the game's retro-inspired pixel art and chiptune soundtrack, which are reminiscent of games from the 8-bit and 16-bit eras. The game also includes a feature called Pico 8, which is a fantasy console that allows players to play the game in a retro style with limited colors, resolution, and sound capabilities. The game's story centers around Madeline's struggle with anxiety as she climbs the mountain. Along the way, she encounters a mysterious figure named Madeline, who represents the negative thoughts and emotions that Madeline experiences. The game's themes of mental health and self-acceptance are handled with care and sensitivity, making it a relatable and meaningful experience for players. A couple things here. Nowhere has it been discussed already that this is a 2D platformer. And to be honest, I could just throw any footage from any game up here and be like, yep, that's Madeline. I also don't like how it immediately jumped into exploring the depths of Madeline's mental health without even setting up any sort of reference to the gameplay. Now, one thing it did do right is I told it to only refer to part of you as Madeline because 1, I think it's funny, and 2, I think just the fan community has made this game so prevalent that I wanted it to be present here. And it did just that, which is way better than the alternative. And remember, always refer to part of you as Madeline because let's be real, she's a handful. See what I mean? The game also features a variety of collectible items, including strawberries. These strawberries serve as a metaphor for Madeline's personal challenges and growth. The more strawberries you collect, the more Madeline grows as a person, and the closer she gets to reaching the summit of the mountain. No, they don't. They're just strawberries. Celeste is also a favorite in the speedrunning community. The developers have thoughtfully included the ability to speedrun in the game by including features like dash refill stations and a chapter select screen. The game also features a built-in timer that allows players to track their best times and compete against other players online. Okay, first of all, you can't compete against other players online. You can go on speedrun.com and post your stuff on the leaderboard, but inside of the game, nothing like that actually exists. There's a speedrun timer, but nothing else. Second, why would you put such a large emphasis on just the speedrunning portion of the gameplay? There's so much more to do. There's so many different obstacles that you can overcome that aren't even touched upon by this review. That's like me saying, hey, there's so many different moves that you can do in Super Mario 64. Have you ever heard of upwarping? One of the best things about Celeste is the added 8th and 9th chapters of Theo. Okay, review just the gameplay of Celeste. Celeste's gameplay is, paraphrase this, but add some jokes. Celeste's gameplay is as challenging as trying to eat a slice of pizza without getting grease on your shirt, but just as rewarding as actually managing to do it. Thank you, Chat GPT. This video is now costing me money. The controls are tighter than a jar of pickles that's been left in the fridge for months, allowing for precise movements and jumps. Each level is designed to be more creative and difficult than the last, like trying to keep up with the latest TikTok dance craze. The game's main mechanic is the ability to dash in any direction, which is more versatile than a Swiss Army knife. It adds an extra layer of complexity to the platforming, like trying to do a crossword puzzle while solving a Rubik's Cube at the same time. You know, I'm really hard on myself on trying to be entertaining and funny, but this just sounds like an SNL skit that was rejected, that Disney Channel picked up and then threw away in the trash, and then Amy Schumer somehow got it after ripping it off of 5 other places from the depths of hell. Does it sound like Chat GPT wrote that joke? Because I'm really trying here. What sets Celeste apart from other platformers is accessibility. The game is designed to be challenging, but it's also more forgiving than a grandma who always just gives you extra cookies. I'm really starting to hate this. The player can die as many times as they need to with no penalty for failure other than restarting at the beginning of a section. I'm really happy it said this because this is truly the best part of Celeste. No matter what you do, the game doesn't try to punish you for making a wrong mistake. Now, I don't have to talk about how this correlates to mental health because it's kind of obvious there, but with how precise and tight-knit the controls are, I never feel like I'm being punished for doing something. When I make a mistake in the game, I know that I made that mistake. Kind of like using Chat GPT. The game also offers a variety of collectibles like strawberries hidden. Okay, we've already done this part. Let me fast forward through this. Finally, the game also includes a speed run. I promise this is going to be the last time. In conclusion, Celeste's gameplay is the real deal. It's challenging, but accessible, like tighter than the controls of a drum set. All right, so I have neighbors and this is really loud, so I'm just going to put an AI picture of me playing a drum set here. The game's dash mechanic adds an extra layer of complexity to the platforming, and the optional collectibles provide an extra challenge for players who want to add some extra oomph.
Did you just say oomph?
I know, it's fucking cringe. The game's retro-inspired aesthetic, chiptune soundtrack, and tight controls are sure to please fans of old-school platformers. The game's story about mental health and self-acceptance is handled with care and sensitivity, making it a relatable and meaningful experience for players. In the end, Celeste is a game that will make you feel like you're climbing a mountain, but in a good way. It's a game that will make you laugh, cry, and maybe even yell a little bit, but ultimately, it will leave you feeling fulfilled and accomplished. Just like eating a whole pint of ice cream, but without the guilt. Okay, so what do we learn here? Well, artificial intelligence doesn't have a single fucking clue about comedy. Everything in this review felt like I could just slap it on the back of a box art and call it a day, which is admirable, but that's not a review. That's a synopsis. AIs don't have an opinion, they are data analysis programs, so trying to get a confidence analysis on an opinion on a game is kind of tricky. Inevitably, it's just putting together jargon on the internet that other people have said in articles and hoping that it sounds good, which, I mean, I guess that is technically a review, even though it's more of a synopsis, but you get the point. You can't trust AI for this kind of stuff. What is my hair doing? Now, paraphrasing, I have found works really well with AI. There's a lot of times where I'm just trying to figure out what kind of words to say or how I want to articulate something in some sort of topic that I'm discussing. So plugging that into it and seeing what it spits out to me usually gives me good results, and a lot of times sounds better than what I was actually going to say. With AI getting to the point where it can emulate your voice or create digital pieces of art like this thumbnail that I still had to brush up and make a lot of changes to, it's honestly a really scary thing. And while I don't support these to be used in any way for commercial purposes or utilizing other people's works to further the AI generation program, which we've seen plenty of, unlawful by the way, I think that it can still be used as a great tool for learning, gathering ideas, or bettering your creative endeavors. I mean, hell, artificial intelligence has been used for years in CPUs and Smash Brothers or enemy placement in stealth games. The concept of AI and self-thinking machines that learn is not all a bad thing. There are great qualities for it. But I think with all of the shady practices with artistic theft and voice simulation, we often forget about that. Which is a good thing, because that stuff is very detrimental to people's lives, and we should be taking that very seriously and very legally too. I guess if I had one thing to say about AI, don't let an AI review your favorite indie game. Also, I told it to make a Persona reference. What the fuck? This video has been brought to you by Xalem Shadow Legends. Have you ever wanted to watch a YouTube video but also feel like a human being?